Sean, thanks for joining us. How's everything going?
Everything's great, and I'm happy to talk about any topics after the great news on Friday about my dad getting the whole thing.
How was it there, Sean? It had to be very emotional, I would think. And just from a family perspective, did you get as you got closer to it? Did you guys think it was going to be this year, or were you still kind of holding your breath?
Oh, I mean, I had some people tell me that, had some probably inside knowledge that they felt good about it. Like, certainly wasn't decided yet, but they liked kind of where things were. And then, nobody knows for sure. And so I got over to my dad's house on Wednesday night, so Friday morning, I woke up and I felt pretty good about it. All things considering, been turned down 6 other times, but Friday morning I woke up and I just did not have the same feeling. Like I had kind of an uneasy feeling and wasn't sure what was going to happen because of you're talking about 3 other great players to ever play, the NBA basketball. When you think about Kobe, you think about Tim Duncan, you think about Garnett. You knew all 3 of them were going to be in, and then I felt like Kim Mulkey was going to be in. Cummings was going to be in, and then Reed Tomjanovich, pretty successful and been close, a couple times. So I just didn't know how many people they'd put in. But the advantage was they cut it down from what normally is maybe 13 or 14 people as finalists, and sometimes those classes could be 8 all the way up to Phil Self told me I think he's 11 in his class. So I thought there was a chance that they might take 6, 7. I didn't really know that they would take all 8, but anyway, it's exciting finally here you got in instead of you didn't make it. So proud of my dad and very happy for my family, but I'm really, really excited and happy for his players, his assistant coaches, all the people that were connected to his programs through the years, like Utah, because everybody played a part in this. I mean, everybody should celebrate this as their own success because, he if he could talk today, he would deflect the credit of himself and said, I was just blessed with so many wonderful players, outstanding assistant coaches, and then just, from the managers to the trainers, to the strength coach, to the SID, to, just the people that were around the program. Everybody contributed and everybody helped build that program, especially at Oklahoma State, into one of the best programs in the country that did their part to help us be successful.
It was and it's an awkward question. You were there. It was a very limited group of people who were in there or with your dad.
I wasn't in there. I don't know if you probably haven't heard the story. So
where really?
My brother gets his email, and we've been told the call was going to be, I don't know, he thought it was going to be 3 to 5. Well, he got an email that morning that said that they're going to start calling candidates at 2 o'clock.
Mm-hmm.
And so the call would be so probably the original email I said 3 to 5 East Coast time. And so they said they're start calling candidates at 2 o'clock. And basically, without saying it, they were going to call the stars first, the marquee names, because they had 3 on the list.
Mm-hmm.
So we obviously all felt like they were going to call Kobe's wife first, and then you can call Duncan, or then Garnett, or Garnett, then Duncan. And in the email it said, don't be alarmed. Your dad will probably be one of the last calls because we'll call those guys first, and then what we do is we go down the list alphabetically. And so his call might not be until later today. And so I was on with Mark Rogers and Dusty on Friday, and I got off the phone with them. And so I'd been busy all morning, so I took a shower and started getting ready. And I came out about, 150, 152, and I'm not expecting the phone call probably to come at the earliest 2:45, but more like 3:15, maybe even 3:30. And so Scott yells upstairs to my dad's house, Sean, get out here. You get out here. I said, I'm getting ready. He goes, no, I mean, you come down here. So I start coming downstairs. And, like, he was on the call already, and they had already been talking about it for a minute. So I actually wasn't in the room when they told him that he'd gotten in. And so I wasn't in position, or there, for that matter, to see kind of what his reaction was. But, you know, I don't think he understood exactly, I think, what was going on. But I don't know. He did show a lot of emotion, but it may be like, you know, I think he had a feeling like he wasn't going to get in. And it kind of surprised him. And then, like, you sit there and kind of thought about what it meant. And at least that's my opinion of why he did, like, overly react one way or another.
I think Steve gave a description of at least the reaction he saw, and I think that's the awkward question. I mean, we want so much for him to have understood everything, and because he can't communicate and tell you, that makes it different. But when you guys talked as a family, did you come away thinking that, hey, he understood this?
I talked to him that night alone, and anyway, I said, you know, do you understand what happened today? You understand you're going to the Hall of Fame? And he said, no. He said, yes, right away. And so I said, you're sure you understand what this means? And you got in the Hall of Fame, and you deserve to be, like, you totally understand? He said, yes. And, like, I mean, I know he knows, because every time I ask a question, you know, that I already know the answer to, he always gives the correct answer. And so there's not any doubt in my mind that he understands, you know, the prestige of this honor, and that he's going in. And then he certainly heard it from a lot of his former players and a lot of the coaches he worked with, and then some of us really good coaching friends that I got on the phone with as well, and listened to them talk to him about basically how excited they were for him. And then, you know, obviously the players, the assistant coaches, those guys all told him, you know, in a short amount of time, told him what he had meant to them and what he had done for their lives. So, I mean, I feel good about it. And it's the shame of the whole situation is, like, you know, he's so charismatic. He's such a great storyteller. And he's such a historian of the game. He's always embraced the past coaches and the former, you know, the great players of the past. That you've seen so many eras and so many just generations of great players and great coaches. And Tom, you've been around him. Like, he's an unbelievable storyteller. Mm-hmm. And, like, I know you only get 8 minutes, but, like, you would have to, like, pick the 2 or 3 stories you want to tell. It's just like, it's just a shame that the public is going to miss out on that, because
nobody knows.
Yeah, because it really benefits. I think people would really enjoy, because there's not many people his age that could say, like, you know, they were recruited by the coaches he was recruited by, Fog Allen, Adolph, Mr. Driver, Ralph Miller, and then I'm leaving one out, Tex Winters, and then, like, see play against Oscar Robertson, to Wilt Chamberlain, to Michael Jordan, to Olajuwon, and then you go down the list, the guys he played later when he got to Oklahoma State, you know, Carmelo, then Jay Turman, you know, some of the other great players. So he probably coached. I looked one time. I think he coached against 15 of the top 25 players in the NBA, like top NBA history, and like 26 of the top 50 he either played against or coached against. And then he certainly coached against all the great coaches, with the exceptions of the ones when he was growing up. He never competed against any of Adolph Rupp's teams or John Wooden. But other than that, like, he's pretty connected to everybody that's been a big part of this game.
Nobody knows him better than you guys. And this may be putting the cart really before the horse as we speak. But will you guys share that acceptance speech? Will you all have a part in it? or have you even thought of ahead that much?
We haven't talked about it because it's just we're excited and there's no. I wouldn't say there's any bitterness. There's just disappointment. It didn't happen sooner, and where he could have been in a position to do a great job with his acceptance speech, and also do a good job for the his players and honor them, the coaches that work for him, and honor them, the four fan bases that helped it have great home court advantages. Creighton was not the level of Arkansas, but when he was at Arkansas, Barnhill Arena was probably the toughest place to play college basketball.
Mm-hmm.
Now, Rupp Arena was always it was, it will be one of the 4 or 5 toughest places to play because there's going to be 24,000. It doesn't matter if they're playing Florida or they're playing Cook, but they're going to be there. And then Oklahoma State, the fans there, I thought, and CBS, ESPN thought too, it was the best atmosphere in college basketball. So he certainly would have let the fans know at all those schools how big a part they played in his success, and he would want them to know how much he appreciated everything they did for him, and that they were a big part of this. So it's just, I don't know. We'll talk about it and kind of see, and we'll have to jot down. I talked to Coach Self the other night, like 8 minutes. It's not a long time when he coached the game 47 years. So we'll just have to kind of take it through and see what the most important things are, and then decide one or two stories that I think people enjoy listening to, and then decide who's going to do it.
You guys were inundated with messages, no question. Was there one that you got or he got sent to him through you guys that surprised you? Any congratulations kind of message?
He heard from about everybody, and I just for sure I had over 250 text messages within 24 hours, and it was overwhelming. I really felt like I was back in the Final Four, and that's just every time you turn around, you're always seeing it, and his was too, and so Scott's, Steve's, but I don't know that. Everybody wanted to. President Clinton called yet, Jerry Jones called yet, but they haven't yet. But like Jerry Jones knows that he's in to talk to him now. But I don't know that there's anybody out there that I would say more important than anybody else. And certainly there's a lot more people my dad would rather talk to that were part of his career. 2 guys I mentioned, but everybody just associates him with those 2 guys. He got such huge names. Everybody knows of his friendship with both of them. But he had a great talk with Rex Chapman the other night. He had a great talk with Joe Klein. He had a really good talk with Corey Williams and Randy Rutherford. That really fun conversation with. I talked to John Calipari for about 10 minutes yesterday. He talked to him. And he was so excited that he had gotten in, and you got a chance to talk to Bill Self the other night for 5 minutes or so, and some of the other guys, Rob Evans, Paul Graham, they'd worked for him. And so I think he enjoyed listening to what his players had to tell him, and what the guys that worked for him had to say. It's just too bad that he couldn't. I let them all know that if he could talk, he'd be telling them the same thing, that all the great things that they had done for him, and they were a big part of the reason he was going to the Hall of Fame.
Hey, Sean, Patrick Wheeler here. When you look at, obviously it should have happened a long time ago with Eddie being inducted, but when you look at this class, and there's been some talk about this already, could this have actually ended up being one of the top classes ever inducted into the Hall of Fame? When you look at the players, obviously Kobe and Tim Duncan and Kevin Garnett and Rudy Tomjanovich, and of course your father, and more. The list goes on and on.
Kim Mulkey, I knew she was going to get in. I forgot to mention her, but I knew she was going to be a shoe-in. The thought is, with the people that really followed this, that 2009 class was considered, whatever you want to call it, like the best class that they've ever had. And it was Michael Jordan. It was David Robinson. It was John Stockton. It was David Stern, Jerry Sloan, and I'm forgetting one, but that was the class they felt like was just a notch above anybody else's. So I did hear some people this weekend think that this class was as good, and some people felt like it was better because you're talking about three, certainly probably two of the top 10 players ever. And Garnett, I would say most people would have him, I guess, probably the top 25. I don't know. I don't know exactly where he probably stands in the conversation as the best player in the NBA, but I do know about those first two. And then you're talking about the guy, Rudy Tomjanovich, won 2 championships as the head coach of the Rockets, long-time NBA player. Tim Mulkey, one of the great coaches in all of basketball, men and women, NBA, doesn't matter what she's done at Baylor, has been remarkable in her 20 years, 3 national championships. I'm not as familiar with Barbara Stevens and what she did in her past, but I think you could make the argument this class could be the best that's ever been inducted.
Hey, Sean, Jason Oakquist here. And I know Tom has told me the fact that, the getting into the Hall never was going to define coach for the family, obviously for the fans and stuff like that. But how much validation over the years when you see people like Fran Fraschilla and Dick Vitale, the names that are so impactful in college basketball right now on a national scene, basically, kind of pushing for this, saying that he deserves to be in there. I mean, you already know yourselves, but to see people at that level saying that this needs to happen as well, how validating was that?
Well, I mean, I just think that like Dick Vitale has been saying this for a long time. Like somebody said the other day that they were watching the Big 12 championship game in 2005 in Kansas City when we were playing Texas Tech, and Fran said it on the broadcast back then. Like, it's like, how come Eddie Sutton's not in the Hall of Fame already? This is ridiculous. And it's been going on that long, but I don't know exactly who all is involved. I know Dick Vitale was involved. I know I think Fran, and there's certain other people, and then there were some coaches that got involved that felt like, that this isn't right. Like, there's no doubt that he should already be in, and his credentials bear that, and basically, like, hold them out in some ways, probably about whatever grudge they had against him because of what happened at Kentucky or because of his bout with alcoholism. There's a lot of people in the Hall of Fame that have had their own issues, and so that shouldn't be the reason for keeping them out. And so I do think a lot of powerful people in the game went to war on this, and weren't going to take no for an answer, but you just don't know. Like, they did everything they could. Vitale told me the other night, I talked to him Friday night, and he found out a couple days before, and he's so excited. I wanted to call you guys, but like I didn't want to ruin the surprise. So I just felt like it'd be more to to build up participation than finally hearing yes on 7 times. So my dad got a lot of good friends, and I know if he could tell them that he appreciated everything they did this year. It's kind of basically the publicity and all the things that were said about him to keep his name out there in front of the committee. And I didn't even realize this until last night. They start with just on the men's side, the North American committee. They start with 50 names get nominated. I counted 50 names last night, and there's a lot of good players and a lot of outstanding coaches, and they go from 50 to 5, and so that's why I don't think sometimes we got caught up why it's not Hall of Fame. I mean, it's hard to get into. It's like, did he deserve to go in earlier? Probably, but it's not an easy Hall of Fame to get into. It's one of the most difficult ones because nobody knows who's on the committee, and there's certainly some people that are involved in it in terms of overseeing it, like Jerry Colangelo. and maybe somebody else out there like that. But they never really get together. They never really talk about the candidates. They submit their ballot. You have to get 18 and 24 votes. And then somebody told me a story the other day, like when after they submit their ballot, they burn them. And
wow.
I guess they don't want anybody to know, like, who voted for who. And so there was never any reason somebody to come back and say, why did you vote for that player, or why did you vote for that coach? So they've always been very secretive. It's been well publicized. John Weinstein wrote a big piece on it maybe a decade ago that just the way they do things. Like, in some ways, it doesn't make a lot of sense to people that cover it. But I don't know enough about it to really give an opinion.
The last thing before we cut you loose here, you're making your way back to Lubbock as we speak. You had transportation plans in the works last year. Had it worked out? Now you were a little occupied last year at this time, as I recall, going into the championship game a year ago. But I assume those same transportation plans will be there for you and your family and Eddie, be it in August or in October if it's put off that far.
Yeah, we're fortunate that several people have already offered their planes, and we're probably going to need a couple, but 15 people going up there, and then somebody from probably go up there to take care of my dad. But that'll all get worked out. Last year everybody felt like that would be really a storybook ending if he'd gotten in with the fact that one of his great players of all time and one of his favorite people, Sidney Moncrief, it looked like he was had a chance to go in together, and then on top of it, we were playing in a Final Four, Texas Tech were in Minneapolis. So, but it didn't work out. But like now, you get a chance to be a part of maybe what will go down as best class in history of the whole thing.
It's crazy, isn't it? A year ago, huh? How quickly a year goes by. You were, like I said, you were preoccupied a year ago with a little bit of something. It was a game coming up that you had a plan for, I think. But you guys.
I felt good about it last year. I thought he was going to make it, and that I saw the list this year, and when they cut it down to 8 names, I was thinking like they might only take five people or 6, and like we talked about at the top of the show, like 4 or 5 are probably going to be in regardless, certainly the first 3, and then I just didn't know if he's going to be able to get in with this strong class, but I also believe they had a lot of publicity about whether he would get in or not. That maybe people wouldn't have going to be in. They might not put him as finalist this year.
Hey, I appreciate you joining us on the show today. I think we got another go at you tomorrow. You'll be home in Lubbock when we talk to you then. Have a safe rest of the trip, and Sean, we'll talk to you here in a little bit.
All right, Tom.
All right, buddy. Thank you. That's Sean Sutton giving us a little bit of insight into the actual presentation. And I knew he wasn't in the room. Didn't know the reason he wasn't in the room. He was a little late getting down there and actually was not there for the announcement. But he's so proud of his dad, and he, well, should he be? These guys have fought long and hard to have this happen, and the entire family is just elated, and I am elated for them.
Absolutely. I think we all are too. And I like what he said. Some people have said already this is the greatest class to ever get inducted. I think it's, I don't know about you guys, but I think it's right up there. You look at the names and almost was, and I told him this, it's almost fitting that he would be a part of a class this great. Yes, it's too late, but look at the names he's with, and he's just as prominent up there with everyone else on that list, in my opinion.
Yeah, and again, we don't know what the next several years will bring. I mean, they could say this about every time you turn around, but there's some notables, some people who impacted the game of basketball for dang sure in this group of inductees, and we're so happy Eddie was one of them.
Yeah, it really ended up about as good as we could imagine in terms of the other names that were around him, surrounding him in the hall in this class.